Kevin Murray.
I'm Michael Ford.
We are reporting for ESPN Sports News Station.
Today we're looking at the NCAA bracket for March Madness. We're looking at what we predicted based on total points allowed and the general upsets and the teams involved, east, south, west.
The NCAA predictions are divided into 4 sections onto the bracket: South, East, West, and Midwest.
In our predictions, the biggest upsets that we had to losing in our predictions were Virginia and Yale in the championship game, and Virginia lost. But in the real games, Virginia lost in the Elite Eight to Syracuse Orange. And some of the real upsets that we had in the real games were Duke and Oregon won against Duke. But a really big upset that we had at the championship game was when NC lost to Villanova at the last second at the buzzer. That was a real upset.
So the way we did our ranking is that we were points allowed, and we went through this system and we ranked them through these. In the East, we had Stony Brook versus Southern California. We had Chattanooga versus Xavier, West Virginia versus Kentucky, Pittsburgh versus Providence, Weber State versus Michigan, Wisconsin versus FGCU, Indiana versus Notre Dame, SFIA versus North Carolina.
In the West, we had Yale, Green Bay against each other. We had UNCW and Texas A&M. We had Oklahoma and Oregon. We had CSUB and Oregon State. We had UNI versus Holy Cross. We had Cincinnati against St. Joseph, and we had Baylor against VCU, and Texas against Oregon.
We also had in the South, Wichita versus Austin, PA, Villanova versus UNC Asheville, Miami versus Colorado, Temple versus Kansas, UConn versus Arizona, California versus South Dakota State, Iowa versus Maryland, Hawaii versus Buffalo.
And in the Midwest, we had Virginia versus Hampton, Texas Tech versus Butler. We had Purdue versus Little Rock. We had Iowa State versus Iona. We had Seton Hall versus Gonzaga. We had Utah versus Fresno. We had Dayton versus Syracuse, and Michigan versus Middle Tennessee.
That was ESPN Sports News Station. Thank you for watching.
Bye!